In the second class of percentage, we learned some applications of percentage and also solved some examples of percentage, right? So moving ahead, let us begin this class percentage third class third with a sentence. X is what percent of Y. Okay, so it is a question here. How can we interpret this? How can we write this question? Okay, which one of X and Y should be in the numerator or in the denominator, right? So here X is what percent of Y should be written as X upon Y into 100. Okay. So we are writing Y in the denominator, but why? So here write a note. Okay. Here Y is the base quantity. Okay. So it goes in the denominator. Okay, and relative measures of X is required. Okay, so it goes in the numerator. Okay, and this is multiplied by 100 to get percentage value. Okay, so here we are reading Y is the base quantity. Okay, so it goes in the denominator, right? And relative measures of X is required, so it goes where? It goes in the numerator, right? Okay, if we read this sentence, this question, X is what percent of Y? X is what percent of Y? So we are finding value of X as in the percent, okay, in percent with respect to Y. With respect to Y, we are finding X in percentage with respect to Y. So the base quantity Y will go in the denominator, and which is required, which is asking X, value of X in percent is required, so it will be in the numerator, right? And this X by Y, this X by Y is multiplied by 100 to get percentage value. Okay. So moving on, I'm taking an example for more clarification. If there is a question, yeah, okay, 140 is what percent of 910, right? So while solving, which will be in the denominator and which will be in the numerator between 140 and 910, right? So try to understand the language. Always try to understand the language. So the base quantity is 910, okay, and the relative measures is 140, right? We are calculating 140 is what percent of 910. 140 as the percent in the percentage is required with respect to what? With respect to 910. So obviously we can write 140 upon 910, and then we will multiply with 100, right? Here we can get 1 upon 13 is what? If you can remember, 1 upon 13 is nothing but 7.69 7.69% into 2. So we will get the answer. Answer will be 15 point. It will be 15.38%. Sometimes you will get trapped when the question is written in another way. Okay. So another example. If it is a question that what percent of 108 is 48, right? The language is totally different. We have seen this sentence, we are familiar with this sentence, X is what percent of Y, but here something different is coming. What percent of 108 is 48? So what should we do? First, try to understand the sentence, the language. We can write here for our convenience in the familiar way what we have already seen. 48 is what percent of 108. Okay, and now we can easily solve this question. Relative measures of 48 is required. The base quantity is 108. So we'll write 48 upon 108 into 100. It is nothing but 4 upon 9. So 1 upon 9 is what? 1 upon 9 is 11.11 into 4. The answer will be 44.44%. Here you can see the value of fraction block, okay, which we have already remember, and this I have already told you that fraction as a building block will be very helpful when you will solve questions of percentage, right? It is time saving. It will save your time when you will solve your questions on D-Day, right? So moving on, a useful and very important point of percentage. Please write with me. X is what percent more or less than y. Okay, x is how much percent more or less than y. Okay, you can see here x is what percent more or less than y. Okay, x is how much percent more or less than y. Okay, one more thing y is how much percent more or less than x. Okay. So the language is different. And what is the difference? What? X is what percent more or less than y. X is how much percent more or less than y. Okay, here is y is how much percent more or less than y. So the difference between this and this sentence is only of language. Okay, this question and this question is same, so I can easily write what? X minus, sorry, x minus y upon y, because this y is the base quantity. Okay, this y is the base quantity, so it will goes in the denominator, and x is what percent more or less than y. So the difference is required. The difference, relative measures of the difference is required. So it goes in the numerator, right? In the numerator. So we will write here x minus y upon y into 100. Sorry. Into 100. And here y is how much percent more or less than x. So the base quantity is x. Okay. Relative measures of the difference. So what is the difference? X is how much more or less than y is how much percent more or less than x. So the difference of x and y is, the difference goes in the numerator, and the x goes in the denominator, right? So y so y so y minus x upon x into 100. Just try to solve some questions, okay, your own, because when you will solve some questions on this, you will find that your concept is getting better and better day by day, right? So here take some examples. 80 is what percent more than 50, right? So from here, try to understand that which of 50 and 80, which will go in the denominator, okay? So which is the base quantity? Is it 50 or 80, right? So the language is very important here. 80 is what percent more than 50. The comparison, we are comparing the difference with respect to what? With respect to 50. So obviously 50 goes in the denominator, and the difference will go in the numerator. So 80 minus 50 upon 50 into 100. So 30 upon 50 into 100. 60%. Right? So 80 is how much percent more than 50? The answer is 60%. Right? Another example. 50 is what percent less than 80. So comparing the difference with respect to 80, so 80 goes in the denominator, the difference goes in the numerator. 80 minus 50 upon 80 into 100. 30 minus 30 upon 80 into 100. 1 upon 8 is what? 1 upon 8. Always remember 1 upon 8 is nothing but 12.5 into 3. Just multiply this, you will get the answer. What will be the answer? The answer will be nothing but 37.5%. Right? Okay. Here, when I'm teaching you the concept, the theory, I'm doing some simple examples. I'm solving some simple examples. But once the percentage chapter will finish, we'll do some good questions on percentage. Approx 30 to 40 questions I will give you, and we'll solve in the live class, right? Moving on, just write one more thing. Percentage increase upon initial value into 100, right? Or increase is what? Percentage increase percentage increase into initial value. Okay. Percentage increase is what? Increase upon initial value into 100, right? But increase is what? Increase is equal to percentage increase into initial value. Okay. Percentage decrease upon initial value into 100, or decrease is what? Decrease is percentage decrease into initial value. It is important. Always remember this too. Okay. It will help you, like you will get your answer. If a question is coming on this concept, will get your answer within 30 seconds. Okay. Where time saving. Okay. One more thing is coming here, and it is nothing but multiplication factor. So write with me. If given quantity, X is changed. So changed by certain percentage P, then the new quantities, sorry, mm, quantity is obtained obtained as X percent. So it will be written as 1 plus P upon 100. Here you can write X multiply with factor. X multiply with multiplication factor. So 1 plus P upon 100 is what? It is nothing but multiplication factor. If a given quantity X, this X is changed by a certain percentage P, P percent, then the new quantity is obtained as new quantity is this, right? X in the bracket 1 plus P by 100. This 1 plus P by 100 is nothing but multiplication factor. X into multiplication factor. Okay. Right here, this implies that the new value is obtained by multiplying the previous quantity by this factor. So MF multiplication factor represent the function, so the fraction This implies that the new value is obtained by multiplying the previous quantity by this factor, okay. So multiplying factor represent the fraction equivalent to a certain percentage change. So multiplication factor represent the fraction, the fraction equivalent to a certain percentage change. Okay, got it? Moving ahead and write. Why I'm saying to write? Only because once you write, you can revise it properly. Don't escape to write it. Always try to write with me. And then when I'm solving the examples, try to just try to solve your own. Okay, pause the video, try to solve your own, and once you get your answer, try to match with me. Okay, write with me. If there is a positive this sentence is very useful, very useful. Okay, so always keep in mind that if there is a positive percentage change, then multiplication factor is greater than 1, and if okay, if there is a negative percentage change, then multiplication factor is less than 1. These two lines are very important, very important, and you will see in the next class the importance of these two lines. Okay, while solving some good problems. Here with a star mark, write with me x uh, increasing with p%, increasing with p%, increasing. Okay, so it will be 1 plus p upon 100, okay, into what? Into x, okay, okay. So here the multiplication factor is what? Here the multiplication factor is what? Multiplication factor is 1 plus p by 100, okay, if x decreasing with P percent, then 1 minus P by 100 into X. Multiplication factor is what? Multiplication factor is 1 minus P by 100. It doesn't matter what is the value of P, how greater it is, or how smaller it is. Here, multiplication factor is always greater than 1 in this case, and here multiplication factor will be always lesser than 1. Okay, please keep in mind. Taking some examples. X decreasing with 25%. Decreasing with 25%, right? This is a symbol of decreasing. Okay, so X into what? 1 minus 1 upon 4, because 20% is what? 1 upon 4. The multiplication factor is what? The multiplication factor is nothing but multiplication factor is what? 1 minus 1 upon 4, it is 3 upon 4. 3 upon 4 is always lesser than 1. 3 upon 4, 3 upon 4 is always lesser than 1. Okay? And if we increase this X with 25%, the multiplication factor will be what? The multiplication factor will be what? 1 upon 4. Multiplication factor is 1 plus 1 upon 4. Nothing but is 5 upon 4. And we all know that 5 upon 4 is always greater than 1. Right? Clear? So, here we can write that, with a note, that final quantity is equal to initial quantity into multiplication factor. Okay, or initial quantity is what? Initial quantity is what? Nothing but final quantity into 1 upon multiplication factor. Okay, moving on. Let's solve an example. Taking an example here. In an exam, A scored 25% more than B. B scores is what percent of that of A. Okay, so Try to understand this question. In an exam, okay, A scored 25% more than B. No problem. Now, it is asking that B's score is what percent of that of A? That of A. So, if we solve this, A is what? A is nothing but 1 plus 1 upon 4 B. This is the multiplication factor. A score is 25% more than B. Okay. Clear? Now, A is what? A is nothing but 5 upon 4 B. Okay. So B is what? B is nothing but 4 upon 5 into A. Okay. So you can clearly see that B score is what? B score is 80% of that of A. And how can you see this? How can I say this? B score is 80% of that of A because of this. Because of this. B is what? B is what? 4 upon 5 into A. 4 upon 5 is what? 4 upon 5 is the multiplication factor. Multiplication factor. And how can I write this? 4 upon 5. 4 upon 5. I can write 1 upon 1 minus 5. And 1 upon 1 minus 5 and 1 upon 5 is what? 1 upon 5 is what? It is nothing but 20%. 20%. 1 is what? 100%. It is 100%. 100% minus 20%. It is what? Nothing but 80%. Simple. Simple. So, always try to solve this type of questions with logic. With logic. And what I have taught you, and I always asked you to write with me. Write with me. Because with the help of this sentence, these theories, you can solve big questions, lengthy questions within seconds. Okay. So here I'm just stopping this video, and in the next class we will learn successive percentage change. Okay. After that we will take a live session and we'll solve good questions on percentage. Try to understand more and more concepts in that live class. Okay. So take care. Bye bye.